Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Princes of Pauper podcast. My name is Andrew Batnich, and with me today, oh man, I was not prepared. I did not have a card name selected for you. The Jeskai Sage,
All right.
Josh Worth. Because, and the reason I bring Jeskai Sage up is because there was a weird blue-red tempo deck that did well in one of the leagues.
Alrighty.
And below. Well, we'll talk about that later. Jeskai Sage is not just something that's popping out of complete nowhere. It is definitely something that I actually saw while putting this list together yesterday. So, today is the 11th of December. I have had a couple days off because of this snow. And the two of us have just come off of SCGCon Snowpocalypse.
Yeah, it's the best.
So,
I didn't have to shovel a lot.
For those who don't know, this last weekend, the 7th through the 9th of December, was Star City Games Invitational Tournament, which they have turned into the SCG Cons. There weren't any major Pauper events, but over the weekend there were a total of, well, there were supposed to be a total of 6 challenges.
Yeah.
But Sunday, unfortunately, was canceled due to the 14 and a half inches of snow we got.
Yeah, I got 18 at my house.
Yeah, I think down here it was only 14 and a half. So it wasn't awful. I got to drive home the hour that Sunday morning. I showed up at the con Sunday morning and then looked at Twitter and was like, "Oh, it's closed. I guess I leave now."
Right.
At least I was in town. But
yeah, my grandmother was just like, "You should not go." And then I checked Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going anyway."
I can't.
Yeah, physically cannot.
But so we had a pretty good weekend. Between the 2 days we actually got to play, between both of us, we played 7 total challenges, or 3 of them were the same. You played a 4th one because I was in one of the cube qualifiers Friday morning.
Yeah.
Which I did horribly in. Won for an event. All I had to do was go 2, 3, and 1 to make my prize back. That was great.
Always.
But so the first challenge was an 8-man, right? Or is it a 9-man?
I think it was 10, like 10 or 11.
I could have sworn there was a bye and there were only 4 matches.
I'm honestly not sure. I know at least 2 to 3 people dropped after round 2 to go play a different format because they went 0-2.
That's okay, so that would have made sense because I don't think I paid attention to the first round. But after my rounds ended, I just ran over there and started watching games because I was obviously much more interested in the commons. But
right.
So what did you play for the first?
The first one I played my mono black deck, but I changed it up. I took out my 3 Phyrexian Ragers for 3 Liliana Specters because I wanted to test it out.
Okay.
And I went 2-1-1 because I went to time in round 1 against blue black teachings.
Yep, I got to watch that, and it was the no win conditions teachings. The I have a Curse of the Bloody Tomb and 2 Ebon Cards Justice with some pristine talismans, and this is how the game's ending.
Yeah. And essentially, I win if I become the monarch.
That sounds correct. Although I could see him potentially answering enough of your threats to make it to where the monarch can deck you.
Yeah, theoretically.
There's some weird counterplay there. I actually found that in the Kadoltha Boros versus most blue-black control matchups, if you let them become the monarch and then just play the control game, you will win because they will deck.
Nice.
It's really funny. But
I found that Liliana Spectre actually really helped me in those sort of matchups because them discarding a card is actually super relevant.
Oh, absolutely. I was actually going to ask, other than the teachings matchup, was there anywhere where Liliana Spectre really seemed to shine for that tournament?
Against Kadoltha Boros, it felt like a fantastic tempo play because I got at least 2 copies of Battle Screech out of their hand. Over the course of 3 matches against Kadoltha Boros. And facing Blue-Red Delver, I got to because he had 2 Flip Delvers and I had 2 Liliana Specters, and we just stared at each other.
Yeah, you just got to play that like So there were a lot of situations where it got to kind of get a 2-for-1-esque feeling to it, and I mean that's the real reason you'd want to play that card.
Yeah, it just the only reason I have like a little bit of pause with the card is because it's really
Oop.
and Kumbas.
You glitched real bad for me there.
Oh God! All right, internet is internet fine? Yeah, internet
Yeah,
seems okay.
I think we're okay.
All right, cool. Uh, yeah, it just felt awkward with Kumbas, Witches, and Crypt Rat / Pestilence because it only has 1 toughness.
Yeah, I know that definitely feels like it can be an issue. Any of those matches where you would have rather had the Rager, or do you think that it was good that it was a Spectre?
Oh, it was very good that it was a Spectre. I just had to be more really careful with Kumbas Witches. That's about it.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sticking with the old Lily Spectre.
So moving on to the second league. The second league, I want to say, had 12 players.
I think so.
Day 1 was a little light on players. It's Friday. Not as many people are going to travel for a Friday event. You have all the players in the Invitational.
Yeah.
I got to play in this one. I chose to play Esper Familiars, and by Esper Familiars, I don't mean like the blue-white splash black for reaping the grades. I mean the actual all 8 Familiars Prosperous Pirates full combo deck. Because I enjoy the more gimmicky variation of it, other than the like control deck that just naturally does its things.
Right.
I went 2-2 in that league, both of my losses being to Delver, which I knew walking into the tournament were going to be my losses. And
nice.
What about you?
I played Affinity and went 3-0-1.
Yep. You got the bye and used the bye to choose the deck.
Yeah, essentially. Because I was just like, wow, there's a lot of Blue-Red Delver. I don't want to play the deck I was going to previously. I'm just going to play the really, really fast one.
Which, I mean, I don't blame you for it. It's just, I find it really amusing that you use the bye to look around at the tournament and be like, what should I play?
Right. I was still debating it going into like the pairings, and I was like, I'll just figure it out. And then I had to buy it, and I was like, okay, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, before pretty much all the tournaments that I played, other than that one, I knew I was playing Familiars for one of the tournaments. The other 2, I was like, I don't know, whatever box I grab.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I faced the same opponent in round 4 for both events on Friday.
Yeah, there was an Elves player that was doing really good in the Friday events, and he carried over to the Saturday events, but he did not do as well in the Saturday events.
Right.
But yeah,
yeah, he was my only loss with Mono Black because he was just straight up faster than me.
Which I can see happening. Were you on any copies of Crypt Rats main?
Yeah, one main and then 1 Pestilence main.
There's your issue. You just need to be on 3 Crypt Rats. That's how you beat Elves. 3 Crypt Rats.
Hey, I'm not your Tortured Existence deck. I hate. I do run 1 Shrivel, 1 Avatar's Justice, and 1 more Crypt Rats on the board.
That's fair. So yeah, the Elves did well in Friday events. There were, I want to say, pretty much every event we played in, there were 3/8 about of each of the tournaments were Delver decks.
Yeah. Also, would like to mention every single one of my losses through the weekend was Elves.
Just all the decks you played, it was only Elves.
Yeah, all the ones that I had a loss in.
You see, I'm the other thing is like I play decks that aren't necessarily good against Delver all the time unless I'm playing Kadolfa. So like most of my losses over the weekend were to Delver, except for my loss to you in the third challenge.
Hey, it's a good deck, all right?
Sure, bud. So yeah, I went 2-2 with Esper Familiars in that list, and he went 3-0-1. So good showing for him. I got to gimmick Elves and Boggles out when game 2 and 3 just Stonehorn walking them.
Yeah, this feels good.
At 1 life both games. So that was great. Day 2, first challenge, I lent Mono Blue Delver out to one of my friends, and then I played 5-color Control Tron. Less of the like 4 Simic Signet Tron that we have now. Go back half a year to the Tron decks that were just like teachings and whatever cards I decided to play.
Right.
Which I find more enjoyable because you're playing a more thinking man's game than the here's my Denrova horror game plan.
We found it. Yeah.
And you decided, after I made a joke to you about it,
Yeah.
to play Mono White Heroic.
Yeah, did good.
Which is not the best deck in the format.
Hey, I beat Blue Black Delver. All right.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really nice. My only loss was to Elves, because in Game 3, he well-wishered essentially me out of the game.
So, round 1 I lost... Oh no, round 1 I beat Elves. Yeah, I beat Elves,
Round
which
1 I
is...
lost to Elves.
I 2-0'd Elves, which is not easy for Tron. It is not easy for 5-color Tron. I pretty much got exactly where I needed to get Game 1. I killed him with Mole Drifters, like, perfectly. And then Game 2, I just controlled the game. I put him in the Stranglehold. And then I lost to Blue Red Delver the next round, which I cut in... Or no, Mono Blue. Mono Blue Delver is pretty much the worst matchup for Tron. Or at least that build. And the reasoning, Mono Blue Delver is really, really powerful in Pauper against the control decks.
Yep.
Your one removal spell is Vapor Snag, and that gets to double as counter spell for removal.
Yep.
So, like, you actually have 0 dead cards in the control matchup as Mono Blue Delver. Which just gives you such an advantage over, like, Blue Red Delver, which has to play cards like Scred, and, like, Lightning Bolt, which isn't good other than just going upstairs. So, yeah, Mono Blue Delver just swept the floor with me, which was actually the Mono Blue Delver deck that I lent to my friend was what swept the floor. And then...
Yeah, he went 3-0-1.
Yep. He got to win that event, which was great. And then you... I don't remember... Do you remember your round 2 for this event?
My round 2 was the Blue Black Delver deck.
Okay.
Where I 2-0'd him, surprisingly enough, because in Game 1, I exactly hit him for his life total because of Double Cleave.
I just wish that there was like a snuff out to ruin your day somewhere in the muck.
Nah. I just get him for Exaxes.
That's pretty good though. And then round 3, I was paired against my chittering rat himself.
Yeah, that me.
Game 1, I got you in the capsize lock, and then games 2 and 3, you drew better cards than I did.
Yeah, I went fast. And I had 2 protection spells in one game, didn't I?
Yeah, you had 2 protection spells in Game 2 when you needed to. And then Game 3, I either had the play of Evoke Mole Drifter and get exactly 2 cards, or cast a Seagate Oracle and get lucky on hitting a Tron land. And I cast a Seagate Oracle because I thought it was a higher statistic. My top 2 cards are the exact 2 cards the Mole Drifter Evoke needed to be.
Oh god.
It was
feels bad.
Untapped land Diabolic Edict, and I'm like, huh. I would have won this game because you were like hellbent.
Yeah, right.
But that happens. It was really amusing at the time. And then my 4th round I paired against Blue Red Delver, which is a lot easier of a matchup for Tron, and I got to 2-0 him. He was really, really wonderful to play against. I don't remember his name because I'm terrible with names. But hopefully he's recalling it as we're speaking, because I believe he was talking about potentially listening.
Yeah, that'd be. And then in round 4, I faced our buddy Jonas playing Mono Blue, and we did the intentional draw.
Yep.
And for our fun games, the 3, I actually 2-1'd him. So
it's a weird matchup. If they get like a good start, then it's hard for you. Or if they draw a high quantity of Vapor Snag in comparison to what you're doing.
Yeah, it feels really bad when you get Vapor Snagged.
Like, I remember when we were playtesting it, and I literally every single minute was like, dead to a snag.
Yeah, we did the song, remember? Dead to a snag.
But that was the 3rd event. And then the 4th event, I decided was much larger. I don't think I think the 3rd event had about 20. The 4th event had about 30 something.
Yeah.
The 4th event was great. There were a lot of diversity. There were a lot of different decks playing. There were multiple Pestilence players. There were some Boggles, Elves, Delver.
And there was a Sliver player in every single
Yep, there was a Green-White Slivers player that played all 3 of them.
He did relatively well almost every single time, too.
I mean, the deck's good against not hard removal.
Yeah.
Plenty of Kadoltha Boros, so that kind of thing. I decided to play Green-Black Tortured.
Because you're a monster.
And both of my matches I lost. I went 2-2 again. I went 2-2 with all my decks that I played because I was playing gimmicks instead of real decks. I lost both my games I could have won, I feel.
Okay.
So I'm not unhappy about it. I lost a Blue-Red Delver, a really tight match, played against a really, really enjoyable person to play against. And then I lost 2 Blue-White Familiars.
Oh, feels bad.
And I have game 1. I had a Fairy Macabre in hand like the whole game, and I was starting to loop it with Tortured Existence and like Macabre him a couple times a turn, but I made a mild error in my sequencing, and it ended up letting him get a second cast of a Ghostly Flicker to go infinite life. And I'm like, well, I can still win because I can't deck because of Battlefield Scrounger, but he can. So now I'm like, okay, now I have to Macabre and keep it up to be able to get rid of Ghostly Flickers again. So that he can't like Sage's Road Denizen me. But he was able to get around what I was going at because of the multiple flickers and everything. Which is unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah. Sadly.
And
I played
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I mean, what did you play?
I played Red White Monarch, aka essentially your deck. And my only loss was Elves, because of course it was.
The matchup's not that bad. You see, your issue is you probably used removal spells on mana dorks.
Yeah, but one of my wins was also Elves.
Like I did
oh, sorry.
No, it's good. In my opinion, that matchup is actually pretty good for Monarch. You just have to use your removal spells in the right areas and remember to bring your enchantment removal in.
Yeah. Because in round 2, I faced Elves again, and I had Electricity in hand because I drew it off of a Perfect Prism, but only had 1 mana in play.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, I untap, I wipe his entire board. And then he land grants, like paying the mana for it, and then plays Sky Shroud, not Sky Shroud, Spider Silk Armor, and I was like, well, I have to draw exactly another Electricity, and it was right on the top of the deck, so I just cast 2 of them.
Seems good.
Yeah.
You like cast the first one, he like points at his armor, and then you're like, yeah, here's the second one.
Nah, I just cast them both at the same time to avoid that.
So yeah, and then my wins were against Pestilence, which those were some games.
Gosh, yeah,
he had
Grindfest.
The full playset of Guardian of the Guild Pact in play, and I was gaining 10 life a turn with the Tortured Existence brown scale loop.
Gosh.
So that was an amusing game, to be sure.
Yeah.
And then my last round I played against Boggles and Sporefrog Lochter.
Yeah, and that's when we met the people that listen to us, which is dope.
Yeah, we I was posting about this on Twitter earlier, but we ran into some fans, and it is the first time I have ever ran into someone that knows me by something that I've done without me meeting them before.
Right.
It was really a really cool experience.
Yeah. We all had the dumbest of smiles.
Yeah. It was great. They were wonderful to talk to. I really wish we got to eat dinner with them, but the quantity of people at that restaurant made that impossible.
Yeah, and one of our buddies had to get back to where he lives before the snowpocalypse. So
reasonable. So other than records and the decks that we played for SCGCon Winter, what about the changes of the format that Ultimate Masters had? Because SCG Winter was not only a major event, it was also the release weekend for Ultimate Masters, which means it's the release weekend for Foil, Fire Ice, Tethmos High Priest, and all these other powerful cards that got downshifted.
We mostly saw the incorporation of foil and fire ice. The only person I think that actually owned the Tethmos High Priest deck was you, and you didn't play it.
It was not a deck. I put
Hey,
together the red white Circlet of Flame Tesma's High Priest and Tinderwall deck, and whew, it is
it bad.
not good.
Yeah, it's bad.
But there's actually a Tesma's High Priest combo deck that did well in the challenge on Sunday that we'll be talking about later. But
Yeah.
so what is your opinion on foil after hopefully playing some games against it?
Yeah, it's a fine card. It's as basically I think of it as the break glass to save yourself
Mm-hmm.
type deal, because you would essentially do have to 3-for-1 yourself, but you do it when you absolutely need to. Like I die if I don't
But
type
what if you're
deal.
like the Gush deck and your one card was plus, so you're a break even situation because you pay one card which gets you 4, and then you pay 3 for 1. So the Gush
Yeah,
plus the foil and 2 cards is worth the.
yeah, it's fine as long as you have still have like plenty of mana like in play, so you don't like accidentally like cut yourself off, like land screw yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's real. It's real interesting. Foil is very powerful.
Yeah,
I think that it's definitely was a dangerous downshift in a format that's already kind of constrained by
yeah, a little bit blue heavy.
the preordained decks.
Yeah,
I posted an image to our Twitter on Sunday night of the metagame breakdown, and the first 3 decks were Delver, 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 and Preordain as the image.
yep.
That was pretty amusing. But so definitely, I would say that there is an effect on the format that foil has made, and I think Fire Ice has another one. But amusingly, Fire Ice is the one that got more talk when it came out, but it's the one that seemed to move slower.
Yeah, it's still like a very solid card, but um, you just need to like just use it sparingly, I
Like
suppose.
the challenge I played it on the 25th, I got Forked Bolted twice out of the Delver deck, and I mean it's literally just Forked Bolt, but it has a second half.
Yeah, it's really good.
So moving on from Star City Games Winter, which is again a great event. Uh, it was awesome to see everyone that came out playing Pauper, and hopefully for the next major event we'll post some more about the fact that we're going out, and hopefully maybe see some other people there. But
Right.
moving on there's one other discussion I want to get to before we talk about challenges and leagues, which there's a decent amount of data to look at from there. And I want to talk about kind of moving back to episode 2 a little bit on the ban list discussion that we had. I want to talk about the diversity of the format.
Mm-hmm.
So the format is a relatively diverse format. If we look at the 5-1 count between all the different challenges over the last couple weeks, there are about 10 to 12 different decks. And the 6-0 decks aren't like static between all of them.
Right.
But my question is are Delver variants too dominant in the format?
It definitely takes up a lot of like just sheer numbers, but I don't think it's like overbearing on the format. Like I think just seeing those 3 Delver decks at the top 3 when we did is because of the release of UMA and everybody trying out foil
Okay.
and Fire and Ice and stuff. Because if you look at the Pauper metagame today, it does show Rainbowtron being the majority of decks, and Mono Blue Delver's gone down a couple slots.
But if you look at is it Delver, Blue Black Delver, and Mono Blue Delver's combined percentages,
Mm-hmm.
you have 11, 19, 20, almost 25, and then we go all the way to 28% of the format is Delver variants. If we count these couple rogue Blue Black Delvers, which for some reason don't pair with the other ones.
I don't know.
I think it's that they don't have, or they do have preordains. I don't know, man.
Let's give it a click.
What's different? I think
One
it's
has
foil
to
versus not foil.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, almost 28% of the format is decks that are casting Delver Secrets.
Yeah, it's and if you also technically count as it Blitz. It runs a playset of Delver. But
I don't think they do. I don't think Blitz does anymore. I think it's just Kiln Fiend and
really,
Cyclops.
the ones I saw this weekend, were playing them.
I think the deck that Goldfish is starting to call one shot Kiln Fiend has moved away from playing Delver
Yeah.
Secrets.
Yeah, it it only makes 1.92% of the meta, but it does show it playing Delver still
Yeah.
on the old Ace of Blitz. The one-shot Kiln Fiend seems really fun though.
I mean, it's the same deck.
Yeah, but you go all in on the Kiln Fiend.
It also plays Augur over the Delvers, which I just think is better for that deck.
Yeah, you just find more ways to just get them, but you can just out-tempo people with Delver or make them waste removal on the Delver and then play your Kiln Fiend, and they're like, oh no.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm worried because there is a heavy dominance coming from Delver in the format.
Yeah. I personally think the percentages will go down, like, just because everybody's getting a feel for foil. But if people think foil is just that good, or Fire and Ice is just that good, it will retain its percentages,
So
and maybe blue black will go down a little bit.
I actually think blue black is the percentage that'll go up.
Really?
Foil is a dark ritual for Gurmak Angler.
You're right.
So, like, if you can build your blue black Delver decks to incorporate four gush, 3 foil, or something like that, which isn't hard,
Right.
and I think some of these lists from these challenges have been doing that. You just get to be this super powerful deck. I mean, you have cards like Snuff Out, you have cards like Daze, Gush, Foil. You have so many free spells to back up your Delver Secrets and Gurmag Anglers that I just think that is the reason we've seen this deck start to like really take the top chunk of the meta from pretty much nowhere. And I think moving forward, this is the best Delver deck against non-Delver decks.
I see your point. That's actually very interesting about that being a dark crit. That's honestly really good, especially with all the protection that you mentioned. But do you think that like it'll just be a battle of the Delvers between like blue black, blue red, and mono blue?
I think there's some cycling that goes in there. I would feel like blue black would have a bad mono blue matchup, and mono blue doesn't have a great blue red matchup, and I think maybe blue black might have a good blue red matchup. I need to test all of this. I haven't
Right.
played. I've played the mono blue versus blue red Delver plenty of times, and I feel like blue red's a little favored. But I definitely think that the like blue black Delver might start like taking some of those percentages. And while it definitely is a little threat light in comparison to these other Delver decks, I think there's a lot of value towards playing it.
Right. And if anything like gets really out of control with like mono blue or blue red, they can honestly just start running a Shrivel main board or something ridiculous like that.
And I mean, there are just some weird one-ofs. Like, I see some of these lists play like one Essence Scatter or something like that. There are a decent amount of weird one-of flex slots that the blue-black Delver has to play because they play a little bit more filtering.
Right. And also, blue black Delver gets to play Echoing Decay, which is a ridiculously good card.
Yes, that card is very good in the format.
I need to play more copies of it in mono black, but I couldn't find any before the weekend, so I only had the one.
Just non-foils?
I wanted to find foils specifically, and I didn't want to make like a special trip to
like
Star City like proper store during the weekend.
Like if you wanted to play copies of it, I definitely had copies of the card on
me. It's fine. It didn't end up mattering during like when I was actually playing mono black.
That's fair. So like moving on to this, then, do you think that something might need to be done about this, and what would your approach be if something needs to be done about
it? If it continues to where like Delver just keeps growing in percentages and just being dominant, that like oppressive in the format, you'd probably have to hit Gush.
Okay.
Is what I would go to, because Gush is what makes foil that like ridiculously good, and also enables like a lot of kind of busted things to do.
Is the Gush ban too bad for the format, though? Because Gush doesn't just hit Delver. Gush hits Inside Out, and it hits Kiln Fiend.
Right. But for Inside Out and Kiln Fiend, you might disagree with me on the Inside Out because I haven't had enough reps with the deck.
Gush is important.
Yeah, it's important, but not like 100% needed, is what I would say.
I would actually disagree with that. So, to combo your opponent, and this is if they didn't play a second game land, you need to discard 5 total cards.
Mm-hmm.
So your hand has to have 5 cards in it, and on average on your combo turns you need to have 4 lands in play. So either you're just like waiting until turn 6 and skipping a land drop on purpose or something like that, or you never needed to play a Dispel or discard a card to a Stray Bolt or something.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I have with this deck losing Gush is it loses a ton of its consistency. I think the deck goes from an actual meta, part of the meta that can do stuff, to falling down to even maybe unplayable Glass Cannon territory.
Right. Well, that's the only one I see that like would actually like bring it underneath control. Besides, like, if you want to go back to like if UMA just didn't, I wouldn't say didn't exist, but didn't have that like far of an effect on the format, you would just like ban foil.
I can see that. I'm hoping we're not getting to that point because that'd be really weird. Like, here you can have this. Never mind.
Yeah, right. And I personally like foil's like a good card, but I don't think it's absolutely like format breaking.
We'll see in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
We'll probably be touching this back up in a couple episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah, like in 2 weeks we're just like C only Delver, and it's like, do it now!
Like,
break the glass!
Please.
Right.
So you would go towards either Gush or foil.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's probably fair. Yeah. I wouldn't want to see any of the other cards go anywhere.
Right. And with Is It Blitz, like Gush is just like a kind of an added benefit. Because you only run like 1 to 2 copies in that deck, if that, because you do run the blue-red green land.
That deck plays foil now.
What? Hold on.
There was a copy of the one-shot Kiln Fiend deck, rather, that went 5-1 at the Pauper Challenge, and it was on 2 foil, 3 Gush.
Okay. Well, that's alright. I really don't know what to think about that. I don't think they need to do that, but alright.
I think it's free if you're a Gush deck.
I mean, yeah, but you could also just, like, kill them.
Yeah, but you can protect your killing them. It's the same reason as playing, like, a copy of, like, Apostle's Blessing.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Apostle's Blessing can protect against multiple cards. Because, like, it protects for the entire turn, and foil just does the 1.
Correct.
And you could...
But one of them is 0 mana.
I mean, you're right. Get an extra tick for free, I guess.
It's less the tick, it's more just like, I feel like a lot of people are going to wait until you expend all your resources and then go for something, and then you get to foil them.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it's a free card that they get to play. But, it definitely has its stock, and we'll talk about that some during our challenge results. Because as our current schedule falls, we have 3 challenges to talk about. We have the 11-25 challenge, the 12-2 challenge, and the 12-9 challenge. Looking first at 11-29, or 25 rather. We have 2 copies of Blue-Black Delver, 2 copies of Blue-Red Delver, and 1 Jeskai Control, which is the Blue-White Familiars deck splashing for Pyroblast in the sideboard. This is well before UMA, so not a ton of spice looking at it. If we look at the whole list, nothing really stands out. There's a Grixis Tron list, which I think is the most unique, but it's more just like Wretched Griff, blue-red Tron. I don't even know why it's calling it Grixis. This is a 3 hypothesizal Tron deck.
Ooh, I like it.
But
I'm trying to find that Grixis Tron list.
it's near the bottom. Thomas
okay,
Mad.
4-2.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 blue-black Delver, 2 blue-red Delver, 1 blue-white Familiars. Pretty stock, what I expect. 5/1s going pretty deep, but nothing really standing out. Mono White Heroic did 5/1 this event.
It's a good deck.
Sure. A blue-black control like the Probe control. 6 tickets. You can buy this deck on Magic Online right now for 6 tickets. All the prices have been dropping because of the esports announcement.
Oh, the esports on Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah, like everything is super cheap.
Yeah, I've been playing more and more Arena myself, and I feel like the randomization in Arena needs work.
If you are playing 1v1 out of tournament early on, it does the 2 hands and the better of the 2 hands thing.
Weird.
But
right.
So moving on from 11-25, which is kind of a mopey result, and down to 12-2 last weekend. This is the event that I played in.
Nice.
If you see me on Magic Online, it is at Nikros the King. And I was playing Kadolta Boros, as that's the deck that I currently have on there. But now that everything is like $10, I might just start buying some more things.
Right.
I went 3-3, unfortunately losing all my rounds to Delver. I'm not sure if it was unlucky or just whatever happened, but we don't need to talk all that much about that because we're here to talk about the decks that did well. And we saw the Mono Red Goblins deck taking it down.
Mm-hmm.
Reckless Abandon, Fire Blast, Valley Dasher, just the Mono Red aggro deck.
Mud Brawler cohort because it's good.
0 giant baitings. What's the point? But
You're right.
Moving on from there, we see 5/1 decks. Blue Black Delver, Kadolta Boros, Mono White Heroic, Rainbow Tron, and the Jeskai Sage deck.
Yeah, the Blue Red Burn.
Blue Red Tempo. This is not like Burn. There's 4 Flame Slashes.
Yeah.
2
fine.
Harvest Fires. This deck is a mess.
It seems fine. Hold on, I gotta read Jeskai Sage real quick.
It is a 1 and a blue for a 1/1 with prowess that when it dies, you draw a card.
Okay. Replaces itself.
When it dies.
Yeah.
But it has prowess. It's weird.
Harvest Pyre.
Yeah, 2 Harvest Pyre, 1 Scred. I feel like it should be the other way around.
Yeah. Considering Harvest Pyre can only target creatures.
I'm a big fan of false summoning instead of Essence Scatter in the sideboard. Specifically because false summoning is a sorcery that you have to play in response to a creature. Portal template.
What the I had to read that card.
Portal templating.
So weird. Why does it have to be so weird?
Because Portal had no instance.
Why didn't it have instance?
Because Portal was meant to teach players Magic, and because of that, it had no instance. So, you would get into situations like this where they wanted to print counter target spell, but they're not allowed to print instance. So they printed sorceries that you could only play in response to something.
Okay.
It was...
Instance confuses my big brain.
Instant confuses me. Therefore, specific cast sorcery speed cards that I play on my opponent's turn are more logical.
We needed the keyword flash back then. That would have helped them so much.
But yeah, this is A weird one, definitely.
Hey, it runs. Is it Boiler Works? It could run the combo in the sideboard.
No.
It should. It just changed decks in the sideboard.
Looking at the rest of the top 32, nothing really all that special. Pretty regular tournament. So moving on to the event that finished on Sunday. We see this deck. This event must have been pretty large because 4 2s are where the top 32 stops instead of 3 3. So I'm assuming at least 100 players.
Always nice.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0 players. So okay, we can multiply that. So multiply 5 by 6. So I don't know what
30.
I'm trying to do. I don't. So my brain just was like, this is the thing we're gonna do. This is not helpful in any way.
Right.
6-0 decks: 1 blue-black Delver, 2 Rainbow Tron, and 2 red-white aggros. The blue-black Delver deck was on 3 foil, 3 gush.
Gross.
So looks pretty like what I'm expecting to see out of this deck for a while. Rainbow Tron's pretty stock, Entropy being the bad guy now. And then
Entropy being the red guy.
5 ones. We have Blue Black Delver, 2 Is It Delver, 1, 2, 3, 4 Canolta Boros, the one-shot Kiln Fiend deck we've talked about a couple times already, Stompy, Blue Black Reanimator, and a Blue Red Delver deck playing 4 copies of Fire Ice on top of the 4 Lightning Bolt 3 Scred package.
Too good. Too good.
Oh no, because this isn't Blue Red Delver, sorry. This is Blue Red Control.
Even better.
4 Augur of Bolas, 4 Spell Stutter Sprite, 4 Seagate Oracle, 4 Mole Drifter. Brainstorm, Bolt, Ponder, Preordain, Scred, Counterspell, Fire Ice, Land. This is interesting. I like this a lot, actually.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So we have that. We have the other blue black Delver that only went X1 is on no copies of foil. More normal list. And then we have this blue black Reanimator list.
Yeah.
4 Gurmag Angler, 4 Striped Wyver Rinder, 6 and a blue, 5/5 hexproof with cycling for a blue, 2 Ulamog's Crusher, Brainstorm, Preordain, Thought Scour, Daze, Echoing Decay, Exhume, Foil, Snuff Out, Gush.
So much Gush and Foil. Lord.
Yeah. I mean, Gush Foil is insane in this deck. You just discard your Reanimator targets.
Exactly. I think this is just strictly better than the red-black Reanimator list that was like kind of a meme.
Oh, absolutely, because you're on your 4 days, 3 foil deck. So you actually have like interaction. But this deck is
great.
Also,
one of your reanimate targets cycles itself.
I wonder if also I think it's hilarious that this deck plays Relic of Progenitus in its main deck.
It's to slowly gain value against delve decks, I guess.
Sure,
because
bud.
You will never activate it.
So if I were playing this deck, I would take the 2 Relics out and the 2 Ulamog's Crushers and just make them Delvers.
Alright, but Ulamog's Crusher real good?
Sure, bud, but I don't think it's that powerful. I'd rather have Gurmag's Wyver Rinder as my win conditions and then be able to tempo them out with Delver in the early turns.
Interesting thought, but...
Because that's how these decks used to look.
Really?
Yes, this used to be a deck. Or it occasionally 5-0s is what used to be a deck means here.
Okay.
But so, looking at the rest of this challenge, we see a bunch of the blue-black Delver lists, a lot of Gush foils going on.
Yeah, in decks where I did not expect to see it, to be honest with you.
And then we look at exactly number 32nd. We have Mardu by Kung Fu Trees. And I'm just going to list this one off because it's something.
Mm-hmm.
1 Benevolent Bodyguard, 1 Fanatical Firebrand, 3 Skirk Prospector, 4 Mog War Marshal, 4 Stinkweed Imp, 4 Tethmos High Priest, which is a new downshift from UMA, which is 2 and a white, 2/3 creature, heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets this, return target creature card with CMC 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. 4 Faceless Looting, 2 Lava Dart. For those that have not tried to play Arclight Phoenix in Legacy, this is a 1 mana instant that deals 1 damage to any target, and it has Flashback, Sacrifice a Mountain. 3 Unearth, 3 Night's Whisper, 4 Tormenting Voice, 3 Prismatic Strands, 4 Crown of Flames, land. Crown of Flames is a red enchantment that says enchant creature. Enchanted creature has fire breathing, and you can pay a red to bounce this back to your hand. So what this deck is trying to do is it wants a Tethmos High Priest in play, a Skirk Prospector in play, and a Mog War Marshal in the graveyard. You cast Crown of Flames, targeting your Tethmos High Priest. The trigger puts the Mog War Marshal in play. You make a token with War Marshal. You sacrifice the Mog War Marshal, makes a token, so you have 2 tokens now. Pick up the Crown of Flames, sack the other one to cast it again, and each time you do this, you're generating 1 Goblin token. So you gain infinite Goblin tokens and access to infinite red mana.
It's pretty good. It's alright, at least. You don't have any payoff for the infinite red.
You can use fire breathing on a creature that is already in play.
True. Just make it real swole.
And this deck is using cards like Stinkweed Imp, Night's Whisper, and Unearth as black cards, according also Gurmag Angler Snuff Out in its sideboard. I really love the just widespread use of Snuff Out. But
yeah, it's just pay for life kill thing.
It's been really good in the format, it seems.
But yeah.
We're definitely just seeing some very interesting stuff coming out of UMA, hopefully, with decks like this. Because I have the Tethmos High Priest Crown of Flames Tinderwall, which is infinite casts and ETB triggers, but nothing else. So you have to have a way to abuse it. This combo uses less cards and less bad cards. You don't have 4 copies of a card you literally can't cast.
What's that?
Tinderwall.
Yeah. Interesting.
But no, I like this deck a lot, and I'm probably going to turn my build of that deck into this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you, too. There's a lot of decks in the format now that, like, I discovered a few decks that I didn't know existed through SCGCon, like, just playing, and also through, like, UMA spawning a couple decks. I have at least, like, 4 Pauper decks that I want to, like, buy now.
Roy's increasing that list.
Yeah, right.
But no, this deck is super cool. I'm really happy to see that this deck did come out, because it's just really, really interesting. But
oh yeah,
other than that, nothing really all that spicy from the challenge. But looking between the 5-1 count between all 3 events, we see a total of 7 copies of Kadoltha Boros leading the percentages, with Blue-Red Delver at 4, your 3s being Rainbowtron and Blue-Black Delver, your 2s being Blue Delver, Mono-White Heroic, and Stompy, and then weird ones like the Blue-Red Burn, Blue-Red Blitz, Blue-Black Reanimator, the Is It Control deck with 4 Fire Ice, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, looking at that, Kadoltha Boros is actually at a higher percentage if we're talking about win-wise.
Yeah, because you have to try and counter Delver as much as possible.
Which, looking at it from here, actually pulls back, and I did this on purpose. Or format diversity discussion.
Uh-huh.
When you look at the Goldfish statistics, it's taking into account everything. It's taking into account the amount of a copy of a deck that goes 3-3 in a tournament. It doesn't care how much it wins, just as long as the deck showed up in the percentages. So yes, Rainbowtron's on top. Delver are second and third. But if we're looking at most winning deck throughout all the challenges, it's Kadoltha Boros. Blue-Black Delver is in second with 6 copies. Tied with Blue-Red Delver at 6 copies. But Kadoltha Boros is leading the fray. And I believe it's because of this saturation of Delver, because that deck generally has a good Delver matchup.
Oh yeah, it has a very good one. It just has like so much removal and can just outgrind the deck.
So the other thing I wanted to do while talking about challenges was I wanted to take a count of just how many UMA cards showed up in the 12-9 challenge. So I went through all the decks. There are 12 total copies of Foil found in Blue-Black Delver, Is It Blitz, and Blue-Black Reanimator. There are 4 total copies of Fire Ice, only showing up in the Blue-Red control deck. There were 0 of them in the Blue-Red Delver decks. And then the 4 Tethmos High Priest in the Mardu combo deck we just talked about. So UMA had an effect. A total of 20 cards out of the 32 lists full of 75 each. Not dramatic, but this is week 1. I think in 2 or 3 weeks when we record another episode, we'll have a lot more to talk about as far as UMA goes. We're going to revisit that, definitely.
Yeah. Revisit if it's like a problem or not discussion.
Definitely. There's one other thing as we're coming to a close here. The leagues. There was not a lot of spice in the last couple leagues, but there was one deck that I sent you. It's been a while, but this deck has done well in the past. I've seen it 5-0 before, and that is non-red Enchantress.
There's a red Enchantress?
Oh no, I'm calling it non-red because it's playing all the colors.
Oh, but red.
I don't know. I don't know the Nephilim.
I don't know the Nephilim either.
The not red Nephilim, the Atraxa Nephilim. This list is a doozy. For anyone that hasn't heard of the 5-color or the 4-color Enchantress deck. 4 Heliod's Pilgrim, 1 Gutshot, so there's your 5th color, I guess. 4 Krufix's Insight, which is a 3-mana enchantment that says, reveal your top 6, put 3 enchantments from among them into your hand, and the rest in the graveyard. So it's 3 mana, draw 3, the best 3 cards on your top 6.
Right.
4 Abundant Growth. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's Witchmaw Nephilim. I just looked it up.
Thank you. Witchmaw Enchantress.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to label it on my deck lists.
4 Abundant Growth. 3 Kitar's Desire, which is 1 white, enchanted creature can't attack, and it has Threshold that it also can't block. So it's 1 mana pacifism, effectively, for this deck.
Right.
1 Crystallization, which is blue-green hybrid and a white. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, and when it becomes a target of a spell or ability, exile it. 3 Fertile Ground, 4 Journey to Nowhere, 4 Quiet Disrepair, which is an enchantment that says enchant artifact or enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1, either destroy the enchanted permanent or you gain 2 life. So you put this on like your Abundant Growth that's on your land, and then you just gain 2 life every turn.
Yep.
A Trace of Abundance, which is an enchantment that gives enchanted land Shroud and adds into extra color of mana when tapped. A Hobble.
There's a lot of cards I had to read for this deck list.
2 and a white enchantment, pacifism, but you draw a card. Oh no, sorry, it can't attack, but it can't block only if it's black.
Sure, dude.
Some premium white cards. 3 Oblivion Ring, 2 Protective Spears, 2 and a white, 1 Pay a Life, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn by a source. Spent that shares a color with the mana spent on the activation of this card.
It's so weird.
And then 4
so
Pestilence.
Weird. There's a lot of Pestilence.
And land. This is a deck that wins through using Pestilence.
Yeah, and you just gain life from your Quiet Disrepairs.
Mm-hmm. So you like Kurtar's Desire, one of their like Gurmag Anglers, and you Pestilence for 4 every turn. That's your game plan. Um,
So weird. This is a deck I want to build too. It's one of the 4.
I'm amazed that the Curse of the Bloody Tomb there's not one copy in the main deck.
There should be, to be honest.
4 Aura Gnarlets in the sideboard.
Yeah, because they board out all of their removal against you, and then you're just like, surprise, I'm Boggles.
You're not Boggles.
Well, you're a Boggle card. a police out of a Boggle card.
Luckily, I mean, you don't have to like enchant it with anything because all your enchantments are auras.
Yeah.
Like your enchant lands.
It just gets big. Just gets real big.
This is quite the pile.
Yeah, it's really nice. The one gut shot.
One gut shot main, one gut shot side.
Yep. Just switch the gut shot and the Curse of the Bloody Tome, and then you're good.
And this deck is saying that there's blue in the main, but there really isn't. The only blue you're finding is in the sideboard on 2 Spell Pierce and 2 Curse of the Bloody Tome. So this is an Abzan Enchantress deck list. Primarily green-white, the only black card in the main being on Pestilence.
Yeah.
Oh.
Win cons.
Oh man. This is a deck you go to time with.
Yeah, aka my cup of tea.
This guy 5-0'd.
Yeah. He's really fast at cooking.
They're just like, what did he beat? This is like the Win Zendikon combo.
Lot.
What did he beat?
He just destroyed elves. That's what I'm thinking.
I guess, man. So
yeah, just 4 Pestilence just gets there.
$27 is pretty good in paper for this deck.
Exactly. Therefore, all foil. Let's go.
Oh jeez. Pestilence doesn't exist in foil.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
You're right, but I can get a black bordered at least.
You're gonna get black bordered, like, are you gonna get like Saga Pestilence, or are you gonna black border a Beta Pestilence for like $60-$70?
No, just the Saga.
You gotta
I'm
make
not
it
a madman.
pretty, man.
I know.
All right. Well,
I think I have a foil full art plains lying around, so I just need 7 foil full art forests.
So, other than that, last thing, as we usually try to do weekly, if you were to play in the challenge this Sunday, if you had access to any deck, what would you play?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I'll probably play that domain mid range that I lost to.
I was wondering if you're gonna bring that up.
Yeah, it's an amazing deck. I still gotta message that guy on Facebook to like to get that list.
You get the list and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, because just the 3-mana 5/5 is really good.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
a lot of
he was
what
my
that deck
only
was doing-
non-Delver loss.
A lot of what that deck was doing was
non-elf.
really cool.
Yeah, because like turn 1 Wild Nacatl, turn 2 it's a 3/3, and then you just bash me.
Yeah, because of Nylia's presence.
Yeah, and then turn 3 you just play 5/5, and I'm just like, well, I'm taking 8 damage every turn.
And then you
Let's
tribal
hope I draw
flame them.
these Journey to Nowheres.
And you
Ugh.
Tribal flames them.
Yeah, the Tribal Flames. Jeez.
All these cards are commons.
Yeah, and they're ridiculous, and they're great. And then he runs, it's probably like 3 of each, or 4 of each even, I don't know. It's because he ran Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, and Ash Barrens to go get like 1 of each basic, just in case he didn't draw his Nylea's Presence.
Mm-hmm. I think
to just like naturally get swole.
I think if I were to play, I'd take a note out of your book and probably play some Mono Black Control. Chittering Rats, Liliana Spectre, and Friends seem like the best thing to be doing if everyone's trying to foil.
Yeah, just make it so they have to pay 4 mana for it.
I think that deck is well positioned. It has visibly good Delver matchups, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, especially with the Spectres, because you just trade and you don't care.
So that is the show for this week then. Thank you everyone for coming out and listening to the Princes of Pauper podcast. I have been your host, Andrew Batnich. This has been my Just Guy Sage, Josh Worth.
Thank you.
And we will see you again in a couple weeks.